What's the most disturbing thing you found in someone else's house? I was house sitting for my neighbor Mrs. Rodriguez while she visited her sister in Phoenix. Sweet 78-year-old lady who always brought me homemade tamales and asked about my college classes. She'd lived in that house for 40 years, raised 3 kids there, and everyone in the neighborhood loved her. The perfect grandmother type with her flower garden and bird feeders everywhere. The first few days were normal. Water the plants, bring in the mail, feed her ancient cat Mr. Whiskers. She'd left detailed notes about everything, even which TV channels the cat preferred. On day 4, Mr. Whiskers knocked over a framed photo on her nightstand. When I picked it up, I noticed the backing had come loose, revealing another photo hidden behind it. It was Mrs. Rodriguez, but maybe 30 years younger, standing next to a man I didn't recognize. They were both wearing matching leather jackets and sunglasses, standing in front of what looked like a motorcycle. Nothing weird about that, except Mrs. Rodriguez had always told everyone she'd been widowed young and never remarried. Curiosity got the better of me. I looked closer at her dresser and found a small wooden box I'd never noticed before. Inside were more photos, fake IDs with different names and what looked like newspaper clippings. The headlines made my stomach drop. Bank robbery suspect still at large. Bonnie and Clyde copycat couple wanted in 3 states. $1 million heist remains unsolved. Every article had photos of the same couple from the hidden picture. Mrs. Rodriguez and her mysterious partner had robbed 12 banks across the Southwest in the 1980s. I kept digging, unable to stop myself. There were maps with marked routes, fake social security cards, and even a handwritten journal detailing their crimes. Apparently, they'd stolen over $2.3 million before her partner got caught in a shootout with police in Nevada. But here's the crazy part. Mrs. Rodriguez had escaped and disappeared completely, changed her identity, moved to our quiet suburban neighborhood, and spent the next 40 years living as a normal grandmother. The journal's last entry, dated just 3 months ago, talked about finally feeling safe enough to retire. She'd been working as a part-time bookkeeper at 3 different businesses in town, skimming small amounts from each for decades. Even in her 70s, she was still stealing. That night, I couldn't sleep. This woman who'd babysat half the kids in our neighborhood, who organized block parties and baked for church fundraisers, was a wanted criminal who'd been stealing from local businesses for years. I was still deciding what to do when my phone rang at 2 a.m. It was Mrs. Rodriguez calling from Phoenix. "Miga," she said in her usual sweet voice. "I hope you're not snooping around my bedroom." My blood turned cold. "Of course not, Mrs. Rodriguez. Just taking care of everything like you asked." "Good," she said, but her tone had changed completely. Gone was the grandmotherly warmth, because some secrets are meant to stay buried, and I've worked too hard to build this life to let anyone destroy it. Now, the line went dead. I spent the rest of the night sitting in my car in the driveway, afraid to go back inside. When morning came, I packed everything back exactly how I'd found it and left the house. Mrs. Rodriguez returned 2 days early. She knocked on my door with a plate of fresh cookies and her usual sweet smile. "Thank you so much for watching the house, Miga. I hope Mr. Whiskers behaved himself." But when she handed me the payment envelope, she squeezed my hand a little too tight and said, "I'm so glad I can trust you to keep family business private." I just nodded and took the money. That was 6 months ago. Mrs. Rodriguez still brings me tamales and asks about school. She still tends her flower garden and feeds the birds. To everyone else, she's the same sweet grandmother she's always been. But now when she waves at me from across the yard, I notice how her eyes never quite match her smile. And I've started wondering what other neighbors might be hiding behind their perfect suburban facades. I never reported what I found. Maybe I should have, but she's 78 years old, and part of me admires her for pulling off the greatest disappearing act in criminal history. Though I did notice something interesting. Last month, the 3 businesses where she worked all suddenly upgraded their security systems. I guess word travels fast in a small town.